Okay, our closing moments with Honorable Eseme Eyiboh and George Eke, who is live with us here in our studios. Eseme Eyiboh joining us via phone from Abuja. And we're trying to look at some of these matters concerning the incoming administration. But let's go to the legislative and the executive, looking at the constitutional amendment. You've been following the debate, and after the Supreme Court coming into it, for some, they thought it was some interference by the judiciary coming into the affairs of the executive and the legislative arm. What's your take, being the former spokesperson of the House?
Well, first and foremost, I count on the Section 4.1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which clearly stated that the legislative powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria should be vested in the National Assembly consisting of a Senate and House of Representatives. To that extent, I want to believe that the National Assembly has the full powers, you know, to indulge and engage in the issue of the amendment of the Constitution, as it were, but not National Assembly on its own. It has to be a collaborative effort, you know, with the 10 houses of assembly. But the point we are now, I also want to think that the presidency were quite right in expressing, not just keeping the draft, you know, withholding the assent and keeping the draft of the Constitution. But it did well to communicate properly, you know, and raising the concern to the National Assembly. And I think if the National Assembly had gone ahead, you know, to veto the president's assent while the executive had gone to court, I think they would have acted ultramarily. So it was a proper and a needful thing in the circumstance, as I've been told and read recently, that they shall go to the Supreme Court. Going to the Supreme Court will, however, put it on record that they also obey the law, just like the law is protecting it.
Okay, Mr. Eyiboh, the fact that the National Assembly, the legislature and the executive are somewhat at loggerheads over this portion of the amendment of the Constitution, one would think that having spent so much money, communication would have been done before now. Why do you think the executive waited up till now? As one of the legislators said, they had public hearings, they've had communications, but the executive did not bring up these aspects that they brought up now before today.
Well, I am not the spokesman for the presidency or for the executive. That I'm a Nigerian citizen who is well versed, possibly in my own right, you know, with what's going on. But I think that at the point of public hearing and various engagement at that time, they didn't come out with the final draft of the amendment. And I think at the time that the executive, the presidency, communicated, which is after receiving, when they were in receipt of the draft of the Constitution, ready, the final copy, you know, and they were able to go through it and found out some of those issues which they have raised and communicated to the National Assembly. Yes, a lot of money has been spent, but what is worth doing is worth doing well, because if at the end of the day the president assented to it, it would have looked to my mind as if the presidency is now trying to endorse and assent to a constitution with an intention, however, to ambush the incoming government.
Okay,
so
Mr.
It is proper and needful, as I earlier said, that it will be fine for the issue to be resolved at the Supreme Court. Okay,
Mr. Eyiboh, our guest in the studio here said to me about going back to the report of the National Conference, that was a little bit more holistic than this amendment, which is like somewhat halfway, so to speak. That has over 600 recommendations, but this ones are quite a few. What's your opinion on that?
Can you repeat that again?
Mr. Eke talked about reverting to the report of the National Conference that has about 600 recommendations as compared to taking these amendments.
I am one of those that came after the constitutional amendment. And due to now say that I have to go back to that to the issue of the national conference. Yes, there's a lot of issues raised national conference. And that national conference will have the matter of fact. And so whatever came out of it is only intended to be used in the constructive engagement of the constitutional.
Mr. Eyiboh, Mr. Eyiboh, the line's not too clear. We're not hearing you clearly here. If you could take that again.
Well, anyway, very quickly, I'll close the moments because we're really out of time. I think we lost that call. What's your final recommendation on sorting this out? If we can do this in 30 seconds.
Well, like I told you, my opinion is that I'm more excited with the recommendations of the National Conference, which I consider quite holistic, which I consider recommendations made by various, Nigerians from all walks of life, various ethnic groups and all of that, and as against this one that I told you that the highlights are essentially things that are going to empower the legislator more than they are. They have
the problem I was going to ask
more powers that they have than they have now.
Yes, but
and then
just a moment, sir. But the problem I see with this is, does it not still have to go through the National Assembly? Wouldn't they still tinker with it?
Yeah, sure. Of course, the last meeting of the National Executive Council meeting, or one of those meetings, not the last actually, President Jonathan has agreed at the level of National Executive Council meeting that those ones that don't require any legislative amendment or constitutional amendment will be implemented almost immediately, and they have started implementing it. The other half, as it were, will be passed on to the National Assembly, for ratification, and then we would have had a better constitution than this piecemeal kind of stuff, that we have.
Well, George Eke, we thank you so much for coming all the way, and we do hope that Eseme Eyiboh will find time to join us live in Lagos in our studios so that we can delve more, look at these particular issues. Nigerians are looking for answers, talking about roadmaps. They already know the problems. They just want answers to most of those problems. This is where we say many thanks for being such nice company on the program today. It's Friday, the launch of channels in the UK. We'll bring you all the details in the course of our bulletins. My name is Sulaiman. Lady, many thanks for watching.
Thank you. You cannot beat the excitement here. I'm Maokbe Ogun.
And I'm Neo Tegbe. Have yourself a great day.
We'll see you again, even though I'm losing my voice.